What's up, everybody? Welcome into MLB DFS Live for Monday, July 27th. I'm your host, Ben Hostler, joined by Justin Bales. Bales, it looked like for a second that we didn't know if there's going to be some baseball tonight, but despite two games getting canceled, there was apparently no talk of canceling the season on their planned meeting earlier today, so that's good. But definitely some concerns. It kind of showed how quickly things can change, which we saw before. I mean, how quick did basketball end, bro? Like they literally canceled that game
Immediately.
when, yeah, Rudy Gobert. They announced he had it. They canceled that game, canceled the rest of the games that night, and then the next morning, basketball was just gone. So, did remind you how quickly things can change. But we do have now 7 games for DraftKings tonight, 8 on FanDuel. I'm watching this wearing a mask. That's good. Do I still have Christmas lights up? Yeah, I do. So I changed them out though. I don't know. I just like to have lights on in my room. Like, I don't keep my big light on, so I'll just
Where do you have Christmas lights?
I have the lights hanging up above me, but like they're
How
not.
would they know that?
I used to have them like when I do the pod. So he asked like, do I still have them up? Like,
Oh, I thought they
because
meant they could see them. I'm like
no,
looking at your video and I'm like, this guy.
no, I had
Oh,
them in like back when we were still doing NBA streams. But before we get into tonight's slate, I do want to shout out our sponsor, Super Draft. If you guys haven't checked it out and go over to superdraft.io, you can sign up using promo code KARMA. It's a new way to play fantasy. Travis likes, I know, because um, there's no salary cap, so you can roster whoever you want. The cheaper they are, the higher their multiplier is. So it's a little bit fun, different way to play fantasy. I really like it. So go ahead and check that out. Promo code KARMA. Bales, I'll let you start today because we're going to go pitchers, stacks, position by position, like always. This is a really bad pitching slate. We always get this at the beginning of the year because all the big guys pitch on the first 2 days. So really bad pitching slate. I think it's pretty clear where you're going in cash games, tournaments. You're definitely going to want to get weird because the ownership's going to be so concentrated. But I'll let you start.
yeah, Cash Games is Josh James and Tyler Glass now. I mean, it seems relatively obvious. I can't imagine really going elsewhere. They have the best Vegas lines. Their opponents' team totals are 3.7 and 4. They're the lowest 2 on the slate. So more or less, you're going to go there. I think if you're not going one of the 2 in cash, it's probably Adrian Hauser. Again, you're really just going to follow Vegas because the games are so bad and the totals are so high. You're not really going to go anywhere else. After that, I mean, realistically, it just gets bad. I think if you want to take a shot on like Dylan Cease, go ahead, but Cleveland should just rock him. He's a lot better than what he pitched last year. I mean, you can just look at his advanced metrics. You know that he's better than that. He actually was pretty good on the road too. So I feel like if you want to take a shot, go ahead. At least he's going to throw deep into the game because even guys like Glasnow and James, they don't necessarily have the longest leash where you know that they're going to go a bunch of innings. But I mean, take your shot on Cease, maybe Fulton if you really want, but it's ugly. There's not a ton of places to go. Wade Miley is another guy. I wrote him up in my article, and I do like him against the Cubs. The only issue is that there's rain in that game, so it's really tough to want to throw a pitcher on even a 7-game slate where they might get canceled or they might start pitching and only go 1 or 2 innings before the game gets delayed, and then they can't come back out.
Yeah, so that's a good segue. We do need to monitor weather in Cincy and in Cleveland. So the 2 Ohio games. Luckily, the Cincy game is the first game on the slate for DK. And then Cleveland, obviously, right after at 7. So we'll be able to know probably when lock comes, but do something we need to monitor. Logan, thanks for tuning in. Fulte, go deep into games. Yeah, he can. I mean, all these guys are going to be around the same their first time through. I would imagine. Like Bauer was a different situation yesterday, just because he is not the type to not pitch deep into games, and he was actually mad when they when they took him out. Did you see that, Bales? He like pretended he was gonna like throw the ball out in the stands because he was mad they were taking him out.
Nah, I didn't. That's kind of funny though.
Yeah. So yeah, dude, he's crazy.
I love him though.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite players. But I agree. I mean, DraftKings, you're playing Glass now and Josh James. That's the clear guys today. They're going to be massively owned, though. So for tournaments, you want to get weird. James, people are going to see his strikeout rate from last season. Do note that came with out of the bullpen, though. So, that number is going to come down a little bit. Glass now is the best pitcher on the slate, over 30% strikeouts to righties and lefties last season. But, the pitch count is going to be the concern with him. I mean, we saw what happened to Snell yesterday. I'm assuming he's going to go like 4 innings, which sounds like not a good thing, but 4 innings of Tyler Glasnow on this slate could be the highest scoring pitcher. The problem is if he runs into trouble in the first inning, he could come out or only go like 1 or 2 innings. I would not be shocked. So that's why I don't really want to play him much in tournaments when he's going to be so high owned on DK, but he is the best option, I think. But yeah, outside of those two, man, there's really just nobody. I don't have a ton of interest in Miley. I just like the bats in that game. I think Montgomery, maybe if you want to get weird. 50% ground balls to righties will help against Detroit, but he has not really any strikeout ability, which is why he is the price he is. Hauser, I think, was probably the pivot in that 8K range, but I mean, the Pirates are just such a disciplined offense. They don't strike out. It's hard to see him having much of a ceiling in that matchup, but I don't know. This is a bad pitching slate. If you guys have any questions on any pitchers, just ask. I just emailed FanDuel to see if I could play 4 third baseman. Yeah, there's a lot of guys position today. At least they have the utility spot though, so that helps. Hauser, yeah, I just talked about him. I think he's fine as a tournament pivot. Like I said, the Pirates don't strike out a ton, but he's probably the 3rd or 4th best pitcher in terms of raw pitching ability on the slate. So I don't mind him for tournaments. Stacks, Bales, I'll let you lead off here.
Stacks, I feel like you can get weird because there's so many good. Like with such bad pitching, obviously we get great offenses. They're just in really good spots is how it works. I mean, realistically, the Mets-Boston game should be relatively high owned. The Mets just make a really, really good spot here. I believe Godley is the one that's the long reliever today, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so I mean, the Mets are outstanding there. Houston obviously is in a good spot. Milwaukee against Brawl. I feel like Cleveland and the White Sox. I feel like Cleveland's going to be the higher round. The White Sox will probably go overlooked. It just seems like they always like people haven't really caught on that the White Sox have like one of the highest upside offenses in the entire league. And then in tournaments, I really like the Royals. They're super cheap. They get a great matchup. Bo Burrows, I believe, is now the guy that's going to play the long reliever for Detroit. Realistically, they have one of the worst bullpens in the MLB, and they're throwing out a bullpen game. It just doesn't make that much sense. I know they have to do it, but for us, we can attack that. And then on the other side, I actually like Detroit too. They have 9 right-handed batters, and their offense is going to be better this year with Scope and CJ Crone added. So they do at least have some power in there. So I'm not really a Mike Montgomery guy. I don't think he's very good, and I think that he will see some regression against right-handed batters. So Detroit, another sneaky stack. If you really want to just game stack that, I also think I currently have a bet on over 9.5 runs there. So I think that's a good spot.
Yeah, I like CJ Crone and Jonathan Scope. I think are really interesting. Maybe like a mini stack. I don't mind that at all. But I agree. I think both sides of the Reds game, Reds and Cubs, I think are probably top 2 for me, along with the Astros. I don't really know what we can expect from Graveman. Haven't seen him in I think it's been 2 years since he's pitched. It's been a while. He looked pretty good in like camp from what I can tell, but I mean it's tough to really guess what a guy's going to look like after 2 years. So I think the Astros are definitely up there, and then I like both sides of that Cincy game. For tournaments, it's the White Sox for me. I think the Indians I like as well, but I think the White Sox are just not going to be owned on this slate. Savale is someone that is due for regression. If you look at his numbers from last year, and specifically home runs, like his home run to fly ball rate is gonna be affected, I think. And the one thing that the White Sox have is a lot of power, obviously, and he just throws a lot of strikes and pounds the zone. So I think that that fits pretty well with their team. You can get the tough part with the White Sox is you have to decide between Encarnacion and Abreu, but other than that, you can get Grandal, who's going to be really low owned. and then some of the outfielders with Moncada. So I really like that stack. Fulmer coming back from Tommy John. Yeah, I think he's the opener, right, Bill? So he's probably gonna pitch like 1 or 2 innings, I would guess.
Yeah, I think they said 3 max, but I don't really see why he would go 3 innings realistically.
Yeah, I would guess he goes 1 or 2. Soler owned Detroit last year. Yeah. Soler's really cheap. That's a really good play.
Yeah.
I know Bales is on that. But yeah, White Sox is my big one in tournaments. Like I only play 1 or 2 lineups a night. Generally, I play a cash lineup and then I make 1 stack. So I think White Sox might be my stack today. I think they're going to go overlooked. We'll go to position by position. Catcher. I mean, as always, I'm looking to save at catcher. I think for cash games, I like Salvador Perez, 2,900 on DraftKings. It's way too cheap. I don't mind Kurt Casale. He's down in the order, but against a lefty, I think you could look at him. And then for tournaments, Grandal, I mean, 5K, no one is going to play him. ISO's over 200 against right-handed pitching. So I like him a good bit as well.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I don't really think there's anywhere else I'm going. Realistically, for me, I don't see a better value than Salvador Perez. 2.9 for him is kind of crazy, especially in a game where he's going to be facing a guy that just gives up a ton of fly balls. Outside of that, I mean, like Wilson Contreras or Grandal, if you're paying up, then either one of those fine. But I mean, when you get a cheap guy hitting 4th, like it's hard not to go there because most catchers just hit 8th or 9th. So like you're getting a little bit of an edge there. So that's probably where I'll end up going.
Yeah. Someone asked about the Red Sox. I think the Red Sox are probably going to be, I don't want to say chalk, but it feels like they're just going to be over-owned again. I don't know. Like, I just don't want to play the chalk early on in baseball and tournaments, and I don't think the Red Sox offense is that good anyways. Like, I think JD is really good. I think Devers is really good, but other than that, I mean, who are you really scared of in that lineup? I'm a big Alex Verdugo fan, but I mean, he's not striking fear to where I'm like scared that I'm going to fade him, you know?
Yeah, no, I don't know. They just seem so overrated, and they're not even like it's not even like they're super hot, and like you're just like I gotta play them. Like,
they've let people down 2 days in a row, and they're still gonna be owned. Yeah, Moreland's not bad. Moreland's probably the best play today, I think. Outside of JD, I think if you're gonna play Red Sox, you're gonna play Devers, Moreland, and JD. That's probably the guys I would look at. But
Kluber out 4 weeks.
Yeah, I saw that, man. That was so tilting. I didn't play him, luckily, but I mean, I didn't think he was that bad of a play yesterday. Good matchup against the Rockies on the road, but yeah, it literally lasted 1 inning. That sucks.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Thoughts on A's versus Angels game? I don't have a ton of takes there. I haven't really dug into it because it's not on the slate. I know I like Canning a little bit. If you're playing all day, I think Canning would be fine because these pitches are just so bad.
Yeah.
But also, if you're playing all day, like for FanDuel, I forgot to touch on this. Trent Thornton, I think, is a really good play on FanDuel. If you want that, like he's 3rd for me. Like I think you have Josh James is really cheap on FanDuel. I probably wouldn't play Glasnow on FanDuel because he's a little bit more expensive, and we still don't have the pitch count concerns. So I think it's Josh James #1 for me on FanDuel, and then I like Trent Thornton a little bit. He worked on his pitch mix in the offseason. He already has a really good slider. The Nationals' offense is just not that good with no Rendon. Obviously, they lost Soto. Like, I'm not really scared of much in that offense. Like, Eric Thames has power, but he strikes out a lot. So I think Trent Thornton's a really good play on FanDuel. Scope or Merrifield, we're going to get to that right now because we're going to move to first base, then we'll get to second base. So for first base, I think Pete Alonso's probably my favorite play. 315 ISO last season against righties. And he's going to see Godley, for the most of that game. So, yeah, I think it's probably Alonso for me.
Super expensive, but I do really like him. If you're going cheaper, I mean, CJ Cron destroys left-handed pitching. Good matchup, and he's hitting 4th, so it doesn't really get much better than that. You could also go Miguel Cabrera for 200 cheaper, but at that point, I'm just playing Cron.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do want to throw out Rizzo. I think is really interesting in tournaments because if people stack the Cubs, they're not going to use Rizzo lefty, but he's actually pretty solid lefty. Like his numbers don't go down that far, so I think that's good to include for tournaments. I like Encarnacion over Abreu for my White Sox stack. A little bit higher ISO, and I kind of like the revenge factor, back against the Indians. So I would probably take him, but you can't go wrong with either. No real issues there. Crone, I think, is probably the top cheap play. I don't really like a ton of guys in the mid tier. That's why I think I would just go up. You can use Santana if you're stacking the Indians, but I would play Encarnacion over him if I was picking one.
I mean, that
Do you have
makes
anyone
sense.
else?
No, I was just gonna say G-Man Choi, but even I don't really like him that much. Did you see that his first right-handed at bat, he went yard though?
Yeah, and actually, I was going to bring this up. The Rays are kind of interesting because no one in that game is getting ownership outside of Glass now. Like, if you look at projected ownership, everyone in that game is pretty low. So Folty is definitely not someone that I don't want to attack, especially with lefties. So I don't mind that call at all. Like, the Rays, if Meadows was in, I would probably be more in on the Rays, but I don't think it's bad for tournaments. Is this a night to leave a ton of money on the table on FanDuel? I haven't built any lineups yet on FanDuel, but I could see with Josh James being, I think 6,700, I could see that being like a possibility in tournaments. Is Choi switcher now? Yeah, I bet Bales just noted that. But yeah, so FanDuel is just low. Like their pricing is so bad, anyways. Like the Blue Jays. Look at the Blue Jays prices on FanDuel. It's pretty crazy. And it's been like that all weekend. Like there's just bad pricing, but we'll move on to second base. So I think second base, I think Keston Hiria is going to get a ton of ownership, and I actually am going to be fading that. I don't think that's a very good play. His numbers against lefties last year were not that good.
Everyone, it's so weird that everyone just loves the righty-lefty matchup, even though like some guys are just better against right-handed pitching. Like
I like Keston Hiria a lot as a hitter, but look at his numbers last year. Last year against lefties, 120 ISO, 298 WOBA, 32.5% strikeouts. Like that's really bad. So I don't see why he should be chalk. I like Scope, I think, honestly. I can't believe I'm saying that, but he has better numbers.
Welcome.
Yeah, he has better numbers than Hiria and a lower strikeout rate, and he's way cheaper. And I just don't see why I would play Keston Hiria over him. So
the best thing in early season MLB is when these players that are actually, don't get me wrong, Scope is an elite player, but he's not bad. And he went to a very bad team, so everyone automatically is like, oh, Scope sucks. No, he doesn't. He's good. He's very good against left-handed pitching. It just so happens that he, plays for Detroit, so it is what it is. But
yeah, so to whoever asked the question, Scope or Merrifield in chat, it's Scope for me. In cash tournaments, you can use Merrifield if you want, but I still think I'd probably pick Scope because it's not like I don't see Scope getting like a ton of ownership anyway. So
yeah, I agree.
But outside of those two, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say outside of like a Royal stack, the Scope just makes more sense than Merrifield, especially since he's 600 cheaper.
Yeah, and then I like Cesar Hernandez leading off for the Indians again, and then Altuve is probably my favorite play here, but I don't know if I can get that high in cash. It's probably gonna have to be tournaments for me. It's tournaments. Yeah, I still would probably go Scope. What are you doing with the Astros today? Because I would like to get 1 or 2 in cash, I think, but if I'm gonna get 2 in cash, it's probably gonna be Brantley. Have you seen Brantley's price on DraftKings is unbelievable. He's 3,300.
Yeah,
and
Brantley.
Then I'm picking Bregman over Altuve every time.
Yeah, I think so too. So I mean, yeah. I would agree. Brantley, it makes no sense. Like, is DraftKings saying that Brantley is not a good hitter, or like what's happening here?
That's like the FanDuel move of the day for DraftKings is Michael Brantley's 3,300. Thoughts on a low owned red stack? I don't think they're gonna be low owned. I like the red stack a lot, but I don't think like Suarez and Castellanos are like any secret today.
Yeah, especially against a lefty. It's
how much does weather play a factor in playing White Sox? Yeah, we're gonna have to monitor that. We should know before lock if that game's gonna be good. But I can tell you one thing: it is extremely hot here. So if they play that game, the ball is definitely gonna be flying because it is really, really hot here today. And Anthony said it's even worse in Cleveland. I'm a little bit south of Cleveland. I think it's even worse up there. So it should be good for hitters. Third base, I think it's probably Chris Bryant for me. If I could just pick anybody, he's my top. Do you agree with that? At 5,500 though, I can't be certain that I'm going to be able to get to that in cash.
Yeah, I think if you take away Price, I think he's the top play tonight.
Yeah, so I think you have him, you have Bregman, and then you have Suarez. Those are probably my top three, and they're all over 4,500. So if you need someone cheaper, I honestly don't know. I don't see a ton of cheap guys I like it at this position. You could get weird with one of one of the Royals guys maybe.
I would find it weird if you are going cheap here because like Suarez, Ramirez, Devers, Bryant, like the high end guys in this are so good it's ridiculous. Like you shouldn't be going cheap here. But hear me out. Jordy Mercer's only 3K and he's hitting. He hits lefties well. I mean, I don't think it's if you oddly decided this is where you're definitely going cheap, I don't think that it's the worst play out there.
Yeah, if you want to get weird, why not take someone from that game? But I think you're probably getting Suarez or above, honestly.
Yeah.
Logan says Suarez better than Bryant, so I'm looking against the lefties. Bryant, 333 ISO last year. 433 WOBA. Yes, Suarez is probably right on tap with that, honestly.
Yeah, I think
301
could be
301 ISO, 414 WOBA. Yeah. Luke wants to know if we talked about Miggy. Yeah. We both think Miggy's a fine play, but I think we both like Crone a little bit more than him.
Yeah, I don't see a reason for playing Miggy over Crone. Like I'm fine with Miggy if you want to use him. Like feel free, but I just don't know why you would, unless you definitely can't find the $200. Like there's no reason not just to move to Crone.
Yeah, I agree. Whatever. If you play FanDuel, you can play both. So you don't have to worry about it there. But yeah, DraftKings, it's kind of hard. Shortstop, I'll let you lead off here.
At short, I mean, again, you got like the high end guys that I have absolutely no problems with. Is Bregman still short, right? Yeah, you can use Bregman here and then get a different guy at third. I have no problems with that. Even like Lindor, still no issues with him. Mondesi for Kansas City is only 3,500, and we know the steal upside he has. So if you're going a little bit cheaper, absolutely no issues whatsoever with him. Besides that, I mean, Javi Baez at 47 still a bit too cheap for his upside. I have no problems there. Realistically, I think that might be my 4. I don't necessarily know if there's anyone else that I would go. If you want to get super weird, Nico Goodrum is 4,300, so a little expensive, and I can't imagine literally anybody plays him for that. But he's leading off for Detroit, and he does come with some good upside against left-handed pitching, so I don't have any issues there. I think that's about it where I'm looking.
Yeah, I made like a mock optimal before we hopped on here. I had Bregman at shortstop, so I like him. I like Baez. Xander's fine at 4,200. I probably won't play him, but 4,200 is fine. I don't mind Freddie Galvis just for some cheap Reds exposure if you want someone really cheap. Bryant or McNeil, I would take Bryant. Due to weather concerning, I'm thinking to remove Bryant. I mean, you don't need to remove him because you're gonna know, like that's the first game of the day, so like you're gonna know if that game's fine, a couple minutes before lock. So you don't have to worry about it. Did you bring up Pete Alonso for first? Sorry. Yeah. He was my favorite. Bales, is he your favorite as well?
Yeah, like just out of anyone, if I could play, yeah, Pete Alonso would be one for me.
Yeah, I think I had him in my mock cash game lineup as well. So I think I would like to spend up on him if possible. And then we'll skip to outfield here. As always, there's a ton of options. I don't like to just run through outfield because we would just be listing everyone. I don't really think that's super helpful. So I think for cash games on DK, you're plugging in Michael Brantley first and foremost. I think Lorenzo Cain at 3,700 leading off is a really good play as well. So I think those two guys are really strong plays and where I would want to go in cash games. Benintendi's cheap, but I would take Brantley and Lorenzo Cain over Benintendi, I think. Are you in agreement with that?
I think so. I would take Michael Brantley over him. Yeah. I would have to think more about Kane, but honestly, I would probably take Kane at the moment, but I think that's closer to 50-50 than Brantley's kind of like the lock there for me.
Yep. And then I like the White Sox guys. I forgot to mention Moncada at third base because I'm an idiot, but he's probably my favorite third baseman for tournaments. Cespedes, yeah, he's in there for me for outfield as well. Like it's tough. So who would you pick between Cespedes is just over 4, he's like 4,200. Lorenzo Cain's 37. Where would you pick between those two? Because I think that's gonna be a decision for cash games, one of those two.
That's tough. That's really tough. Honestly, I think right now I would probably lean more towards Cespedes, but I just like him more. I think when he's in the lineup, he's so good, and throughout his career, he's always been better against right-handed pitching. And I'm not whatsoever afraid of Godley. I do like Kane, and I wouldn't have any issues with that, but I just feel like his upside is slightly limited compared to Cespedes. Plus, I feel like they have relatively similar floors in these matchups, though.
Yep. Castellanos 4,500, amazing play. Like him a lot. I live in Boston. Benintendi's lost the play. Yeah, I watched the Red Sox game the last 2 days. He does not look good. Another guy that looks really bad right now is Christian Yelich, dude. He just looks like he has no idea what's going on. And I remember reading, it was like the week before the season, they were doing like the inter squad like World Series and stuff, and he was like, I don't know, he was like 1 for 24 at one point in their like inter squad stuff. Like he was not hitting the ball well. And he has 1 home run. I don't know if he has a hit other than that home run this season. Like he looked so bad yesterday. Atwood got him swinging his first 2 at bats with the same pitch. He does not look good. So I am not playing Yelich for the time being, I think, till he wakes up a little bit. But yeah, Castellanos I think is a good play. I think Castellanos is probably my favorite spend up. Like I don't know if I need to go much higher than him. Like you can use Acuna any slate, but who do you like above Castellanos other than like JD? I don't really think anybody.
Yeah, I actually was messing around with lineups earlier and got to the point where I could spend up at 1 of 2 positions, and one of them was outfield, and usually you have like all these elite outfielders. So I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to go there. And I didn't. I ended up going down at outfield just because like even Ryan Braun against the lefties, 4,200. Soler is 3,800. Like there's just no one really like super at the top. I guess if you wanted to go like George Springer, you could, but even that, I don't like that much. I would rather spend down and pay up for someone like Pete Alonso. Like,
yeah, Springer's better in a stack, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I feel like just high-end outfield today, oddly enough, is not better than like the high-end players at other positions. Like I would rather spend up at third and then go Bregman at shortstop and then have to spend down in the outfield or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. Why did I play him at cash? Who? Benintendi I played 2 days ago, so that was before I watched him suck. Didn't play him yesterday. Yelich I played yesterday, but that was before I saw Tyler Chatwood make him look like an idiot. So that would answer that question. I think that about does it for the positions. Bales, give me your home run call for tonight.
I'll go Soler.
Okay, that's a good one. I'm gonna take I'll take Yohan Moncada as my home run call. Yelich, yeah, that was. I mean, he looked bad, but he hit a home run the day before yesterday. So I was like, okay, maybe he woke up. And then Tyler Chatwood just like it was bad, man. It was kind of dirty. I didn't enjoy watching it, but I'll take Moncada and then give me a bold call for tonight as well.
Bold call. Scope and CJ Crown will combine go for let's go 6 of 8, and they will combine
6 of 8.
6 of 8, and they'll combine for 5 or 6 runs and RBIs.
Oh my god! All right, that is bold. I'll take the White Sox hit 5 home runs. That's mine. Luke's home run call is Aquino. That's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Your call is much bolder than mine.
5 home runs, baby. I'm feeling it. All right. Thank you. Top stack. All right. Top stack. Who's yours, Bills?
I mean, honestly, people aren't going to like it, but I'm going to stick with Kansas City. I think they're going to be really good tonight.
All right. My top stack for tournaments is the White Sox, but I think the Reds, both sides of the Reds and Cubs game is really good, and then the Astros are a really good one as well. Like those are the higher owned, like cashier ones. For tournaments, I just like the White Sox to be really low. But Brian has been terrible too. Yeah, he hasn't been good, but he hasn't been as bad as that, I don't think. But thank you guys for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully a little bit bigger slate tomorrow. Hopefully, I know the Orioles game got canceled already for tomorrow, but hopefully that's the only one. Yeah, if you guys need anything else, you can hit us in Discord or on Twitter. Be sure to check out all of our free content at dfscover.com. You can sign up for our core plays and my final thoughts for as low as $5. So you can check out the products, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.